Welcome back. I'm with the world's only disillusionist, Billy Riggs, who's here at Workshop. One of the great things about Workshop is coming to Workshop to get inspired and re-energized for the job that you tackle. But first, Billy, tell us, what's a disillusionist?
Right. Well, years ago, I had a very disillusioning experience in my life. And I shared it with a friend, and he said, you know, that's really a good thing. I said, what do you mean? He said, because disillusionment simply implies that you used to be living under an illusion, but now you know the truth. And that was the beginning of an epiphany for me and an understanding of the world that he was absolutely right, that becoming disillusioned is the best thing that can happen to you, and the sooner the better. I had a good friend one time that told me that she had just discovered that her new husband of 2 years had been cheating on her all of that time. And she said, I'm so disillusioned. And I said, that's great. Don't you wish you'd become disillusioned 2.5 years ago? And she said, yes. What I do is I use my illusions. I'm a professional illusionist. I float ladies in the air, do Houdini escapes and that sort of thing. I use them on stage as a vehicle to get into people's heads and strip away their psychological illusions, getting them back to a real and accurate understanding of the world, because you cannot solve a problem until you can accurately identify it, rather than seeing it through a whole grid of beliefs and assumptions and biases and defense mechanisms that cause you to evaluate things incorrectly.
Toby is huge, but he thinks he's small. And because he thinks he is small, he lives as though he is small. Every year, Toby has grown larger, heavier, stronger, more powerful, until now he is downright unstoppable. Even as our old wooden fence has grown progressively more rickety and rotten. On any day of the last 5 years, Toby could have walked right through it like it was made of paper, if only he knew that he could. Toby is not confined by our fence. Toby is imprisoned by his ridiculously low estimation of his own capabilities, held captive by his overblown, exaggerated view of the obstacle that lay in his path. You've got to believe in yourself.
I know you just spoke about leadership and educational leadership, and you know board members are all, and superintendents are all educational leaders. Just talk about your 5 points.
Sure. What I spoke about this morning was 5 qualities of a remarkably effective board member. The first is that they are energized and motivated by the dream of transforming the lives of kids through education. They're not on a personal quest for praise or glory or riches. They don't have some sort of an agenda that they brought with them to the table or to their job. All they care about is educating the kids. The second thing that they believe in is other people. They motivate the people around them by genuinely believing in their innate goodness and their staggering potential, and they unlock that potential by believing in them. And I used several illustrations of some of the world's greatest leaders who did just that. The third thing they believe in is themselves. They're not cocky, but they have an aura of self-confidence that causes other people to say, that person knows where he or she is going, I'm going to follow them. The fourth thing they believe in is the power of positivity, of optimism. Nobody wants to follow anyone into a bleaker future, and so they tend to gravitate toward people who genuinely believe that the future is bright. And finally, they believe very passionately in being resolute, in fulfilling their vision. They're not knocked off track by criticism. They don't compromise with people that they are certain are wrong. Rather, they stay resolute with their vision.
I think everyone who listened to those 5 points would really agree with that, and it's much easier said than done, though. How do people stay positive in a negative environment?
What you do is you discipline yourself. That every time a negative thought creeps into your mind, you try and find a way to turn it into something positive.
It is the eternal law of life that if you choose to answer your question by saying, my glass is half empty, you know what's going to happen? It will get emptier. The consequence of a negative attitude is that you will attract bad things and bad people to yourself, and over the course of your lifetime you will drain your glass to the dregs of all of the joy that you might otherwise have known. And you'll find a very troubling process at work in your soul.
So I just reevaluate everything that happens in my life, within reason, of course, not the death of a close friend or something like that. I reevaluate it in terms that keep me positive, because when I'm positive, I'm more productive, I'm happier, other people want to be around me more, and I'm a better leader.
How did you get started?
Well, believe it or not, I actually started in the ministry. I started a church when I was 29. I even spoke about it some this morning, built it into the thousands. And the thing I was good at was holding thousands of people spellbound for 30 or 45 minutes. And I also had as an avocation illusion, magic, and really enjoyed that. So when I changed careers 17 years ago, I just decided to combine the two into my new act as a disillusionist.
Okay, and if someone wants to get information about you, this is a short 5-minute interview. If they want to get more information on you, or maybe even have you speak at their convention, how do they contact you?
Well, I tell you, I've been for many, many years on the circuit doing convocations, opening convocations for school districts. And so, or speaking, doing keynotes at educational conferences like this one. So if they want to get in touch with me, they can either go to my website at www.billyriggs.com, BILLYRIGGS.com, or they can just email me, billy@billyriggs.com, and we can send them a brochure and testimonials from hundreds of teachers and classified staff and board members and superintendents across the country.
Well, thank you, Billy.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank Billy Riggs, and I know everyone who attended his presentation today came out inspired and energized. And I hope you get a chance to look at the clips that we have here of his presentation. And if you want, it's one more reason to go to the workshop next year, is to come out energized and inspired.